with New York Times best-selling author John Gilstrap.
Good morning.
Former member of the House of Delegates, Vietnam War veteran, Mr. John Doyle.
Good morning, everybody.
John, as Katie Rose begins the first days of her potential career in the House of Delegates and politics and beyond, what advice do you have for anybody out there who's ever thought about running for office but never actually decided to file papers and do it?
If you're thinking about it, do it. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, I would not. If you are an independent right now, I would suggest if you want to do it, pick a party and run as a party. I do not think, at least around here, and I'm thinking of local races, county commission, state legislature, stuff like that. I do not think an independent can win around here at this particular time. There are places in this country that an independent can win, certainly, but I don't think they can here. I could be wrong. Hey, I've been wrong before, but I would say if you want to do it, do it.
I would think an independent in West Virginia, if you want to make a difference, and you're an independent, a dedicated independent, want to make a difference, give that money to charity. Honestly,
I wonder where you're going with that.
There's just there's no way.
Bill Stubblefield, who's fairly well known and was a Berkeley County commissioner as a Republican and was president of the commission, so you figure fairly well known. He ran as an independent a couple of elections ago in the county commission against Jim Barnhart, who was the incumbent Republican.
Yeah.
And Bill did well, but it still was not particularly close in terms of working about a recount or anything to that effect. Jim still won pretty convincingly. And you look, if a guy that's as high profile as Bill has a problem as an independent, it's difficult.
And in that case, Barnhart, I think, was an incumbent.
Yes.
Well, that's certainly a part of the result, I would think.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
And a lot of people, you go in, you see the letter RD, depending on who's in style at that time, and that's what you do.
The only shot would be, and this involves some machinations. Let's say you have a district that is Republican, but not so Republican that it's impossible for a Republican to lose. If someone would run as an independent and the Democrats don't nominate someone, then that independent might win. But the problem is, under our system in West Virginia, the party can't say to someone who's a Democrat, oh, please don't run. We got this independent. The way you run in West Virginia is you just decide to run and put your name on the ballot. You pay your filing fee, and very often that's what's going to happen, and that will kill any chance of an independent winning. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I-81 is cleared now and reopened. It may be a little slow getting going. It might be clear by the time I've made this announcement. Just be careful once again, and the weather being what it is throughout this morning, make sure you're giving yourself a little extra time, too. Yeah. Also, going forward, when the host makes a mistake, please correct him.
Okay.
Yeah. When I said Hardy, I knew that didn't sound right as soon as it came out. But
I knew it wasn't right.
That's what came out. That's what came out.
How many people corrected you?
Just one.
Just one?
Jason.
Okay.
Jason Barrett sent me a text.
I kind of rolled my eyes, but I don't know whether Rob saw it or not.
No, you're always rolling your eyes.
Okay.
I thought that was an eye issue for you. All right, it's time to get to it now. I think, Mr. Gilstrap, do you go first this week or Mr.
I believe it's my turn to go first this week.
The court is
I
yours,
don't
sir.
care.
All right.
First serve.
Okay. On the heels of the No Kings movement, or the No Kings protests or rallies, whatever they were, it occurred to me that something has gone wrong in the United States, and we don't have kings, obviously, but we do have our increasingly imperial presidencies. And I kind of wanted to look into this a little deeper, and you look away for a while at the structure of the country. As a citizen, you kind of live daily, limping along. And I came to realize that the structure of the United States, the constitutional structure of the United States, has the president pretty much as an administrator. He's not supposed to do much other than sign the bills that the Congress passes. The real water is carried under the Constitution by the House and the Senate. And over time, that power has been ceded. It's been challenged. Historically, certainly Andrew Jackson was an early challenger for it, and Abraham Lincoln stretched it a little bit. And with the results that we saw historically. But I think beginning in the 1990s, with the growth of hyperpartisanship, we saw more and more that the House and the Senate were so busy arguing and not granting either side a win that the gridlock allowed the presidency to grow stronger, and because things have to get done. Or if they don't have to get done, then the president sees an opportunity to rule by executive order. The executive orders don't live past the presidency, but 8 years is a long time in history. We saw Bill Clinton regulated public lands. He implemented welfare policies that we had never seen before. George W. Bush, we saw the AUMF's authorized use of military force that continues to exist long after the goals of the AUMFs have been established. Surveillance state began under Bush and has certainly blossomed after that. Obama with DACA, new environmental laws. Biden spent a lot of time, signed a lot of executive orders on student loan forgiveness that wasn't authorized by Congress and undoing the entire Trump administration. We've seen the growth of ceding of power to executive agencies, where when the House and Senate do pass a law, like the Environmental Protection Act or the Clean Air Act or the OSH Act or these other things, they're written so broadly that the enforcement, the details, are left up to unelected bureaucrats that and their findings that's where the rubber meets the road. That's really that has the big impact on people's lives. So now we're seeing, then there's a whole legislating by the Supreme Court. Now we've got a court that is undoing that, trying to bring us back to the original vision of the, I think what the framers saw, trying to bring power back to the House and the Senate. I don't know that the House and the Senate can handle it
or want it.
It's just we're no longer structured. The House and the Senate, the parties yell at each other. Nothing gets done. I mean, look right now, the shutdown, for God's sake. What a ridiculous thing that's going on. So we do have an imperial presidency. I think to the no kings thing, that's fine. It's a cool thing. You can't lay that on Trump. It existed. It's all about whose ox is being gored at the time, and it continues to grow. Each additional little bit of power inures to the benefit of the next president, and that diminishes. The Congress is allowing their role to be diminished every step along the way. And the only traditional arm of government that continues to function more or less as it should is the Supreme Court. And it's now getting hammered politically because it's not bowing the way the politicians want it to be. I'm concerned that we're broken.
I agree with some of what you say, but not all. A couple of my disagreements. One, I do think you can lay it on Trump, as you could lay it on some of it on Franklin D. Roosevelt and some of it on Andrew Jackson. In each of these cases, you had presidents who pushed the limit. And in the case of Jackson and Roosevelt, you had a Supreme Court that stepped in to stop them. And that's why the famous idea of Franklin Roosevelt to pack the court so he could get, enough justices on there that would agree with what he wanted to do. And that idea fell flat, thank heaven. Eventually, they got things through Congress in such a way that the court said, okay, now you've done it right. And that's the court's role. I do disagree with you that the court is now trying to give it back to Congress. I think they're doing the opposite. Most of their recent decisions have been that the president has the power to do whatever it is that was brought. Now, there's one exception. And on policy, I'm sorry about it because I am a pro-environment person. But when they decided on that environmental case, and I can't remember the case, but that the administration could not simply write the rules in a vacuum, that it had to be Congress that authorized it, I think that was the correct decision. I do think more decisions like that will force the Congress to say, you know what? We'd rather not take the heat, but I guess we're going to have to.
And that's the point I was making.
Yeah, I know, and I agree with that point. Part of the problem, too, is, and this began with Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker of the House. He tried, with some success, to transform the House of Representatives into a parliamentary body where whoever is elected simply toes the party line. We didn't have that before. Speakers of the House like Joe Martin and Sam Rayburn had to persuade their members to go along with what they wanted. And you had people like Tip O'Neill, who was constantly fighting with Jimmy Carter, who the two of them were Democrats. But when Tip O'Neill disagreed with something Jimmy Carter wanted to do, he came right out and said so. We do need more of that. The framers, when they were, and you can see this all through the Federalist Papers, that they expected each branch of government to jealously guard its prerogatives. The United States Congress has not been doing that lately. And yes, I do think in this case with Trump, a lot of what has kept us going is respecting norms. The current president does not do that. He just says, if there's any chance in the world I can bully my way through to a decision I want, I will do that. Even Richard Nixon didn't go that far. And so I do think what will happen is this. Let's go back to norms for a second. I just thought of something. George Washington, at the end of his second term, said, I'm not going to serve a third term. Nobody should. That was the norm until Franklin Roosevelt broke it. What did we do? We passed a constitutional amendment saying 2 terms and that's it. I do think that some of these norms that Donald Trump has broken, we're going to end up passing laws or constitutional amendments saying, no. For example, you can't tear down the White House just because you live there. There's no law that says he can't do what he did with the East Wing. It was, and other presidents have done changes that were substantive but not as dramatic, and particularly building this building that's twice the size of the White House itself. I think we're going to end up passing some kind of a statute that says in the future any change in the White House is going to have to go through Congress and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I agree with half of what you said.
And were you referring to the Chevron doctrine?
Yes,
John?
thank you very much.
I had to make up for my mistake earlier on the 96th seat. I hope this gets me even.
Yeah, well, I just simply said I didn't know.
Final word to you, Mr. Gilstrap, then we go to Mr. Doyle.
No, I made the point I want to make. The Congress has to grow a set. I mean, somehow we have to start electing people who are willing to disagree with whoever is in power. We have to be the strength of the personality of whether it's President Trump or if it's Nancy Pelosi or if it's whoever is the power broker, Chuck Schumer. This business of being in lockstep, even though the policy is doing harm, such as this, I'll call it the Schumer shutdown, just because it'll be inflammatory, but. We know it's doing harm, but we do it anyway because it's what the party demands. We got to stop that stuff. We just have to stop that stuff.
Well, I think you go back to what is the job of a politician, and the job of a politician is to get elected. And the easiest way to get elected is to go along, right? So
the job is to get elected, but it should be for a purpose.
Well, that's
to
different.
Accomplish things that you think need to be accomplished. I think
that might be true in the idealistic sense of it, John, with Mr. Smith goes to Washington, but that's not the case any longer. Now the case is to acquire power.
I'm going to dispute a little bit, Rob. It's not the case at the moment.
I agree.
It has been the case through most of our history, and we can get it back.
It was the case in the minds of the framers of the Constitution.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They envisioned people giving up their real lives to go and do their duty to serve just 2 years.
And then
Okay,
get
fine.
back.
I can do anything for 2 years because it's my duty, and I go back to what I need to do. They never envisioned this career political class.
Right, but that's
But that train is left.
when
the
we had
station.
Senator Capito on a month ago or whatever, there was a question in regards to something about the administration, and her answer was what all of them default to right now, which is basically the Pontius Pilate approach. This is what the people voted for. I'm washing my hands of this. It's not my job to say that President Trump is wrong on this. This is what the people voted for, so I'm going to go along with it. I'm staying out of the way. And I'm not picking on her. She just happened to be the person who was on the show. Any national show that you watch right now, they all say the same thing. This is what the people voted for.
Well, say, and I would dispute that to a significant degree, in that when the people vote, they vote for certain things. A president can overreach a mandate, as Joe Biden did, and as I think Donald Trump is doing. So anyway, that is my opinion. Now, can we go to my topic now?
Please do.
Okay. And I'm going to transition by being just as inflammatory as John Gilstrap and say this is the Trump shutdown. But it will transition to it because the interesting thing is, and we've debated before, and we can debate this again at some point in the future, the idea of the filibuster. This is the Trump shutdown because if Trump let them do it, the Republicans in the Senate could abandon the filibuster for this particular shutdown and just ram it through. Now, I hope they don't. I'm in favor of keeping the filibuster, even though I'd never defend it from the standpoint of democracy. It's supposed to be a vehicle to force negotiation. And this is what is going on now is because Trump doesn't want them to, the Republicans in the Senate are refusing to negotiate with the Democrats. They could very easily come up with a compromise that would bring 5 more Democrats on board to get this through if they wanted to. They're not doing it, in my opinion, because Trump won't let them. And now here we are, and this is what I think is finally going to force everybody's hand, is the day after tomorrow, SNAP benefits run out, as do WIC benefits, the women and infant children. SNAP, it's what used to be called food stamps. It's Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program is what SNAP stands for. It was changed either in Bill Clinton's second term or George W. Bush's first term. And Rob, you can look it up and tell me which it is. I don't remember, but somewhere along in there, because there were some more restrictions placed on people's ability to access, and that's when they changed the name. So anyway, there's $5 billion sitting in a reserve fund now that the president can, without any, it's clear, has the authority to put that into SNAP. I don't think there's any reserve in WIC, but there is one in SNAP. Incidentally, I commend Governor Patrick Morrisey for coming up with $13 million to add as a state assistance to the food banks around the state. I wish he hadn't said it's contingent upon people volunteering. I think people can volunteer anyway. I think that added an extra bit of psychological negativity to it that didn't need to be done. But at any rate, I commend him for that. I think Governor Youngkin in Virginia has done the same thing. There have been some other governors in other states that have done that. But there's this $5 billion sitting there that with a stroke of a pen, President Trump could authorize it, and that would at least give us a few more weeks of people not going hungry. So that's I think he needs to do that, and I think if he doesn't, we're in for a world of hurt.
Changed October 1, 2008 as part of the Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008.
That's Obama.
2008.
Yeah.
That's still George Bush.
October 1. Yeah, that's
George Bush. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was second Bush. In
Bush
the second,
43. Yeah. Mr. Gilstrap. Yeah.
I've not heard of this fund before. If it's there, it should be spent. I agree. As far as the negotiating tactic is concerned, the Democrats are on the record saying that they're using this is their only tool of leverage against the Republicans. The Republicans have passed this clean resolution. It's what the Democrats have approved, I don't know, 7 times, 13 times. I've heard a lot of numbers. All of a sudden, it's untenable to them, excuse me, because it is part of, it's passed by the Trump administration. It's not just the SNAP benefits. It's another $1 trillion being put back into the budget that is the people speaking. When we talk about Senator Capito saying that this is what the people voted for, that is what the people voted for. I think it's smoke and mirrors. Excuse me. I think it's smoke and mirrors to speak just about the illegal aliens getting health care, although that is part of it. The Democrats have turned down multiple opportunities to pay the military as a special cutout. They voted that down. They've voted down an opportunity to reinstate SNAP benefits as a special cutout. There's all kinds of opportunities that the Democrats have had to ease the pain, and they don't want to do that because this is a political maneuver. Who shot Willie to cast the blame politically again buries the lead here. What we have are politicians, and I lay this at the feet of all politicians. It's like when I was talking about when I was yelling at the fire department people the other day. It's not about firefighters. It's about the people the firefighters are protecting. This is not about political careers and political parties. This is about the constituents. What is best for the constituents? Now, writ large, what's best for the constituents is not to have $1 trillion of ridiculous stuff put back into the budget. But we also don't need to have needy people going hungry. Why we have 42 million people on SNAP benefits is a question worth pursuing. That's what is that, an eighth of the population?
And in West Virginia, it's 1/6 of West Virginia's population.
Okay, well, that's indicative of a larger problem too. Mm-hmm. But this has become a political embarrassment. I think all of them should be ashamed of themselves that it's gotten to this point. But it's your fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. They're all children, and they need to figure out a way to figure it. And it's not. Each of them has gone to a zero-sum game. It's the Republicans said we've passed our bill, and we're done. And they're right. They did pass a bill. The filibuster needs to survive. I think to do away with the filibuster it's a systemic disaster to get rid of this filibuster. And the Democrats are not willing to compromise either.
Oh, they are. They are willing to compromise.
Oh, no.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're willing to compromise in front of a camera. They're not willing to compromise at the table.
The problem is that no one is negotiating with them. Now, in terms of that $5 billion it's sitting there in the Department of Agriculture. Now, the administration is using an argument that says it has to be for emergencies. This is not an emergency. Now, there's nothing in the law that sets that reserve fund there that distinguishes between a physical emergency and a fiscal emergency. The administration is saying it has to be a physical emergency. Again, they made this up. In the past, it's been used for fiscal emergencies. And so, anyway, I think that there are any of a number of ways that John Thune could come to Schumer and say, listen, I'll give you this. And Schumer would say yes. But he won't do it, in my opinion, because Trump won't let him.
Quinnipiac poll says 45% of Americans blame Republicans, 39% blame Democrats for the shutdown. Among independents, it's 48% on the Republicans, 32% to the Democrats.
But it's getting closer, and I think there's more in the American public toward a pox on both your houses on this.
Gentlemen, thank you kindly. Appreciate your involvement in the program in this manner. We'll meet here again next week. Same time, same place, same bat channel. This is Talk Radio, WNR Martinsburg and TV 10. More to come.